Welcome to Transfer 101. The information presented in the following slides was developed to help you start a successful transfer plan. This is Mercedes Quintero del Real speaking, counselor and coordinator for the Transfer and Career Center at Hartnell College. First, let's do a quick review of the higher education systems in California. We have the California Community College System, also known as the CCC, which is made up of 115 campuses. We have the California State University System, the CSU, which has 23 campuses. We have the University of California System, known as the UC, which is comprised of 10 campuses. And finally, we have the private and independent universities, which add up to approximately 70 campuses throughout California. Private universities vary greatly in size and longevity. As private and independent campuses, they are sometimes easily dissolved as any business would. But there are also those prestigious and competitive private schools like Stanford and USC. And we have had students transfer to Stanford, by the way, who only accepts about 30 transfer students per year. You'll come to notice that admission requirements generally become more competitive in relation to the number of campuses available within each system. For the purpose of this general presentation on transfer requirements, we will focus our discussion around the CSU and the UC systems, since these are the most popular transfer universities among our students. Both systems are public education systems, and much like the community college system in California, public schools depend on state funding. Private schools are also known as independent because they do not depend on state funds, but rather private funds, which can sometimes translate to better financial aid packages to low-income students. Again, there are 23 campuses within the CSU public university system, and although there are 10 campuses within the UC public university system, only 9 of those are open to undergraduates. UC San Francisco is a graduate school, only open to students with bachelor's degrees now pursuing master's credentials and/or doctorate level degrees. Evidently, being a transfer student from one out of 115 community colleges in California, you face quite the competition to be admitted to one of the 32 public universities in the state. But if you plan for it, you'll succeed. In fact, our transfer students earned Hartnell College the #1 ranking in 2015 in transfers of underrepresented minorities to the UC system. Clearly, it's important to prepare and plan for transfer ahead of time. There are 3 main factors that impact your transfer success. 1, academic preparation. 2, financial preparation. 3, the it depends factor. And we'll review these factors in more detail in the following slide. Let's begin with an overview of the transfer process. As a community college, we offer various degrees and certificates. When it comes to transfer, the CSU system in particular gives special treatment to students that will have an associate's degree for transfer, AAT or AST, by the time they enroll at the university. This is because associate degrees for transfer are inclusive of CSU system admission requirements. If, however, you are earning a local associate degree, an AA or AS, then you would be categorized as an upper division transfer student, just the same as a student that completes 60 transferable units, but not necessarily an associate's degree by the time they enroll at the university. This is because local associate degrees are an end product of the community college, and it's not inclusive of university transfer admission requirements. The public university system is currently only accepting upper division transfer students, junior level, which means you would need to complete your lower division courses, freshman and sophomore level, at the community college. The lower division requirements can lead to an associate degree for transfer, a local associate's degree, and/or transfer general education pattern like the IGETC or the CSUGE. In summary, there are 2 types of transfer students being admitted by the UC and CSUs: upper division transfers with an ADT and upper division transfers. This is important. The transfer process begins before you reach 60 transferable units, not after. In this example, Joe, student, has completed 28 transferable units to date, and he is starting his 2nd and final year at Hartnell College in fall of 2021. He will be graduating by spring 2022 and transferring to CSUMB by fall 2022. Let's read the timeline together. So in the fall of 2021, Joe would apply to transfer to the university and also start his FAFSA application or the DREAM Act application, which opens on October 1st and closes on March 2nd. The transfer application is due by November 30th every fall to enter the following fall at the university. In the spring of 2022, Joe would need to log back into his application to update his information. This is called the academic update or supplemental application. Typically, the CSUs require this to be completed between January and February, and the UCs require that this academic update be completed by January 31st. There's also the admission decision that happens in the spring semester. You will find out from the universities if you've become admitted between February through March, and you can appeal the decision within 2 weeks of the denial notice if that applies to you. Transcripts with your fall semester grades are due in the spring semester to some of the CSUs. And then your statement of intent to register, which is extremely important. This is what confirms to the university that you will be attending their campus the following academic year. The CSUs require you to send your statement of intent to register by May 1st, while the UC requires you to send this by June 1st. Over the summer, you want to send official transcripts. The CSUs have various deadlines. You will need to check with the individual CSUs. With the UC system, your official final transcript is due by July 1st. And you must also register and attend orientation during the summer. Also, there's an IGETC certification due to the UCs only by July 15th. And so it's important to note these deadlines because you need to give yourself plenty of time to order these. So if you need IGETC certification or an official transcript, you should be submitting your request to the Admissions and Records Office at Hartnell College at least 2 weeks prior to your deadline. And then in the fall, Joe would eventually start his upper division junior level classes at CSUMB. So what is an upper division transfer exactly? The 60 transferable units you need in order to transfer as an upper division student are specific. It's a combination of 3 types of courses: general education, which you will obtain from either the CSU GE or IGETC pattern. Here there are 4 very important classes known as the Golden 4. And those classes are your number 1, oral communication, which can be completed by taking communications 1, 2, or 3. Number 2, written communication, which is completed by taking English 1A or 1AX. Number 3, critical thinking, which can be completed with either English 1B or English 2. And number 4, your transfer level math, which is particular to your major. The general education classes typically make up about 30 units. The second type of courses that your 60 transferable units must include are the second most important classes after the Golden 4. These are your major preparation courses, and they usually make up about 18 to 26 of your units. Finally, the third type of courses your 60 transferable units include are electives, and these include the majority of classes numbered between 1 and 99. Sometimes you'll need electives because your major prep and general ed courses do not add up to 60 units, and sometimes you take electives because you want to, like PE classes, for example. Maybe you want to stay active while also being a full-time student. Earlier, we briefly discussed the Associate Degree for Transfer. What is it exactly? We call it the ADT for short, and it is essentially a program that grants priority guaranteed admission into the CSU system into a matching major. The requirements are that you complete the prescribed courses for the degree, which can be found in the Hartnell College catalog, and that you petition for the degree award. See Admissions and Records page for details on deadlines. The outcome of this degree is that you'll get guaranteed admission to a CSU in a matching major. You'll only take a maximum of 60 upper division units at the CSU, and you get a 0.1 GPA bump awarded to your transfer GPA by the CSU admissions. For example, if you have a 2.9 GPA, they will review your application as a 3.0 GPA applicant, giving you an extra competitive edge over students that apply to the same major without a matching ADT. At Hartnell College, we offer 28 ADT majors. This includes 15 Associate of Arts for Transfer degrees and 13 Associate of Science for Transfer degrees. Remember, these are degrees with a guarantee. It's important to understand the difference. The Associate Degree for Transfer guarantees transfer admission, and it includes the general education pattern for transfer, the CSU GE, or the IGETC. The Hartnell Associate of Arts and Associate of Science local degrees do not have the same benefits. For example, our liberal arts with emphasis degrees, while designed for transfer students, they do include the CSU GE or IGETC, are not ADTs, and they are considered local associate degrees. The UC system does not give the same admission priority to students with an ADT, but they have their own priority admission program known as a Transfer Admission Guarantee, or TAG for short. TAG is only available at 6 out of the 9 undergraduate campuses with the TAG program. You have guaranteed admission if you meet campus-specific requirements in major preparation courses and GPA. Eligibility requirements are published yearly in the UC TAG Matrix, which you can find on their website. To participate in TAG, you must submit your application by September 30th prior to submitting your actual transfer application, which is due by November 30th. You may only submit one TAG application to one out of the 6 campuses, and if approved, you'll have guaranteed admission as long as you follow up with all the appropriate deadlines. In addition to your academic preparation, your transfer success also depends on your financial preparation. It's important to understand your financial responsibilities and resources so that you don't give up on your education or end up with a huge debt by the time you graduate. In this slide, we have samples of estimated costs for students that attend Hartnell College versus CSUMB versus UC Santa Cruz. You can see that it is estimated to cost around $17,000 to attend Hartnell, while it may cost around $21,000 to attend CSU Monterey Bay and $31,000 to attend UC Santa Cruz. However, you know that technically you are not spending $17,000 a year to attend Hartnell College, especially if you live with your parents and you're part of the California Promise program, the free tuition program. On first look, UC Santa Cruz seems more expensive than CSUMB. However, UC offers a program called the Blue and Gold Plan, which is essentially free tuition for students whose family income is $80,000 or less per year. So the bottom line is this: do your research. Understand what it's really going to cost you to attend college. Plan ahead and save money before you transfer so that you are not working 2 part-time jobs in addition to taking loans and a full load of units at the university. The third critical factor in determining your transfer success is known as impaction. This is the "it depends" factor. Impaction means that campuses can and do often invoke what's called supplementary admission criteria, either for the program or for students who don't reside in the campus's local area. This means that the campus requires higher standards for admitting students when it's considered impacted. Impaction happens when the number of eligible applicants exceeds the number of available seats. This is why it's called the "it depends" factor, because it depends on your application pool, which is not known until after all applications have been submitted. To minimize the negative effects of impaction, you should strive for a 3.4 GPA or higher and visit assist.org regularly to ensure you take the appropriate major preparation courses. After review of the minimum transfer eligibility, the 60 units with a core GE, the Golden 4, transfer applicants are primarily evaluated on GPA and major preparation. This is what the process looks like with the CSU system. Major preparation and ADT are synonymous in the CSU system. They give the highest priority for admission to local area applicants with an ADT. Each CSU works with local community colleges that they call feeder colleges. We are a feeder college to CSUMB and to Fresno State. Both consider Hartnell students local area applicants. Second priority is given to local area applicants without an ADT, and third priority to out-of-local area applicants with an ADT. The last priority admission is given to out-of-local area applicants without an ADT. UC admission priorities are a little bit different. Because they have fewer campuses and lots of applicants, they have higher admission GPA requirements than most CSUs. And the UCs give highest priority admission to TAG-approved applicants and local area applicants with major preparation. Second priority are students out of their local area with major prep, and the rarely admitted applicant is the one that is a local area applicant and missing some major prep in a non-impacted major. You can visit the calstate.edu and universityofcalifornia.edu websites to find more details on how transfer applicants get reviewed. You're not in this alone. Please schedule an appointment with a counselor to develop a comprehensive education plan that meets your transfer goals. Additionally, check out the Transfer and Career Center services available. We provide academic counseling, university representative appointments or presentations, transfer preparation and career development workshops, university field trips, college fairs, and this year we will be hosting webinars, and the links will be shared on our website in lieu of our traditional in-person college fairs. We also provide career and job fairs, a transfer mixer, which is an opportunity to meet former transfer alumni, and they share advice and tips on how to best prepare for transfer. Please visit our Transfer and Career Center page in the hartnell.edu website for more online resources and the latest events information.